Hey everybody, Crypto Mentor 99. How you doing? So I've been thinking the last few days, I love doing videos on cryptocurrencies. I loved interviewing people, but the cryptocurrency and investing is really just a small part of my life. And I want to not branch off, but I want to talk about some other interests and passions that I have. And I'm going to start doing a few videos on hockey, as in ice hockey. So I'm going to start naming the videos that I do about hockey, Hockey Talk. So this is going to be Hockey Talk #1. So you could follow me. For those of you that have clicked on the link because you're interested in hockey, most of my YouTube channel that I started in 2017 is about cryptocurrency. But I am a huge hockey fan. I was a huge hockey player growing up. And for those of you that follow me or are going to start to follow me because of my hockey playing abilities, I just want to talk a little bit about that. So I grew up in Illinois, and when I was probably 6 and 7 years old, my dad, who was a huge Chicago Blackhawks hockey fan, we would sit and watch TV and we would watch the Hawks play. And that's when there was only a handful of teams. There was Chicago, Boston, Toronto, Philadelphia, did I say Montreal? And Detroit. And between the first and second period, because I started to get interested in hockey, ice hockey, even as a little boy. And I distinctly remember, like between the first and second period, they would do an interview, and between the second and third interview, they would do an interview. So instead of sitting on the couch with my dad, I would go in our garage. So this was the winter time. I would go in my mom and dad's garage, the house, the garage. And I would put my sister's white roller skates on, and I would just like skate around in circles. And my dad would be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I'm trying to be like the hockey players, but I don't have any ice, and I'm just, doing roller skating." So quickly after that, my dad bought me a hockey stick. And between the first and second period, I would go out in the garage still, put on my sister's roller skates with my hockey stick, and I would use a golf ball and just start to stick handle as a 6-year-old and as a 7-year-old. Finally, my dad's like, this kid may be interested in hockey. And I remember he said to me, "Would you like to take ice skating lessons?" I'm like, "Oh, I would love to do that." And my dad said, "Well, I know that you probably want to play hockey," because we kind of talked about that. But he said, this brings back so many good memories. He said, let's start off and take one figure skating class just to get your balance and to know how to stop and start and push off. And so I did. So he bought me a pair of figure skates. I took a series of lessons, one class, which may have lasted maybe a month, 2 months. And I continued to develop my hockey skills in the garage with like a tennis ball, right? So when I was 8 years old, my dad said, "Okay, you took your figure skating lessons when you were 7, and then, you still are showing an interest. Would you like to take hockey lessons?" I'm like, "Oh, would I?" So I took hockey lessons, and then after that, I just joined a team. And truth be told, I was fairly good. And over the years, I took my game, if you will, and I started to play for a traveling team. And we would travel from like Illinois, we would go to Des Moines, Iowa, St. Louis, Missouri, Omaha, Nebraska, Kansas City, Missouri, and it was a competitive league. And I played in that for about, well, when I was 9 years old until about 18. And I loved it. I could not get enough hockey. When I got into high school, I continued to play on that team and high school hockey. I loved it. Every January, my birthday's in January, and my dad's now passed. He passed away in 2000, but his birthday was in January. So every January around our birthdays, we would go see the Chicago Blackhawks play. And my dad would always get good seats. And sometimes we saw a couple of games in January around our birthdays. And he was always say to me, because I really didn't know the positions or, center, left wing, left defense, right defense. I knew what the goalie was, But my dad would say, watch the game and tell me who you want to be or what position. He never forced me to anything. Well, I ended up playing defense my whole life. I played right defense. And I like to be rough. That was my style. And my dad's like, okay, so every hockey game I ever saw, really, I would watch the defenseman. More specifically, I would watch the right defenseman. And in the early days of the Blackhawks, that would be Pierre Palat, that would be Doug Jarrett, that would be Gil Marat, that would be Bill White, that would be Whitey Stapleton, to name a few. And I just could not get enough hockey. And recently, again, I just said my birthday's in January, Mrs. Crypto Mentor 99 and I went to a sporting goods store and I bought a hockey stick. Don't want to hit I'm a right shot. I bought a hockey stick and I did a video on this a while back, but when I picked this stick up in January of 2020, just holding the stick brought back a flood of memories. And then we got in the car and I did the math. It had been 42 years since this little guy held a hockey stick. The last time I played was 42 years ago. And my wife, who I love dearly, said, no, it's not 42 years. And I'm like, yes, it has been. So to the right of me, I'm in my basement. I've got a net. I bought a stick, 5.5 lie. I love it. I bought some tennis balls. I got some pucks. I bought a net. And when I'm bored, I'll come down in my basement and just shoot into the net. In addition, just to that, just rambling stories, whenever I would travel on business, I would make sure that I would attend that city, or I would go to that city, especially if they had a hockey game. So when I was up in Michigan, I would, whatever, NHL, AHL, ECHL, high school, the little guys, Bantam, Pee Wee, midgets, whatever. And I just can't get enough hockey. And I'm starting to get my grandkids interested, but again, we're going on 10 minutes, but yeah, it's been 60, no, wait, that's right, I'm 62 years old. 42 years since I last had a hockey stick, and I feel like I'm 18 years old again. Anyhow, Crypto Mentor 99. I want to start talking about hockey. This is my first episode. I'm going to name it Hockey Talk, Episode 1. Anyhow, love y'all. If you like hockey, share this with a friend, enemy, or neighbor, because I'm going to start talking more about ice hockey. Anyhow, love y'all. See you later. Bye-bye.